The law is perfect. Truth is one and eternal. Realize oneness with it in your deathless self within. The following commentary is based on the teachings of Paramahansa Yogananda. In the Gospel of St. John, chapter 1, we read, "The law was given to Moses, but grace and truth came by Jesus Christ." Grace means the power to rise spiritually. Truth means the experience of divine realities, not application in the outer world of that inner experience. Divine love is the soul's experience of oneness with God. Kindness is the human manifestation of that love. Grace is deeper than mere kindness. Wisdom is a divine experience. Justice to all is a human law, though divinely inspired. It follows as a consequence of the experience of wisdom. Truth goes deeper than mere justice. While following the law, we should strive always to trace it back to its origins in the vision of God. Therefore, Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita urges the devotee not to be satisfied with spiritual precepts alone, but to go beyond them to the direct inner experience of truth. In the 18th chapter of that great scripture, he says, "Nay, but once more, take my last word, my utmost meaning have. Precious thou art to me, right well beloved. Listen, I tell thee for thy comfort this. Give me thy heart, adore me, serve me, cling in faith and love and reverence to me. So shalt thou come to me, I promise true, for thou art sweet to me. And let go those rights and writs, duties. Fly to me alone, make me thy single refuge. I will free thy soul from all its sins. Be of good cheer." Thus, through holy scriptures, God has spoken to mankind. I was thinking that it would be beautiful if we could do this Sunday service on Zoom so I could see you all, and also ask if listening to these beautiful phrases of this reading, if all have understood and connected to this, because it's not so easy. All these words, it have me think of Sri Yukteswar about his book of sacred science. If you remember, one was asking, "Master, what a beautiful book! I've understood everything." And Sri Yukteswar said, "It's not so." And Master said, "It's not easy to understand that book." And it's true. This reading, because of the theme, the law is perfected in love. And this aspect of this book of Sri Yukteswar, it had me go back and search in the book this part of a very scientific book where Sri Yukteswar explains many things about the yugas, about Patanjali, aspects that are more scientific, of the science of spirituality. And this has me think of a moment when Swamiji was writing. He was always writing. He was always working on so many books. Some were a little bit more mental, more intellectual, even if he always put in the heart. But often he asked me to read. And after some time he wanted me to read because he knew that my mind wasn't able to draw in so much intellectual or scientific and understand them. And I think he thought, and he told me this: if you understand this, I know that I was able to write it in a way that everyone would understand. Because he didn't want to write in a way that it would be in air and that people would not be able to relate to it. Obviously, he wanted to share through his books and his discourses truths that would comprehend the law, but that would go further in the law, in love. And this is how Swami arrived to give so much love of Divine Mother, Master, and God. So I would like to share what I think I've understood from Sri Yukteswar by reading some phrases from Sri Yukteswar writes, love, natural love of the heart is the principal requisite to arrive to a sacred life. He refers to this love as a gift, celestial gift that nature gives. And it's interesting that we know that love is one of the 8 qualities, divine qualities of Patanjali. And it's part in our teachings. Our teachings say that these 8 qualities are already part of us. And we as human beings can experiment all these qualities, these divine qualities. It's just that they are hidden by veils. So he writes, with the help of this, developing this love, recognizing it, man has the fortune of drawing of divine characters and will be saved forever. It's important for us to understand that in this book, when Sri Yukteswar talks about love and the importance of love, he talks about the fact that it's essential. He says that it is important it's the capacity of loving and opening our heart. That's what magnetizes the Guru towards us, and this is our way to be. This is our salvation. I normally do not have these things, so but I have something I want to share that is in my phone. So he says that the nurturing of this love that is a celestial gift and that is a principal requisite to be saved by the sacred salvation is impossible for man to go further a step without this. Sri Yukteswar clears this point that the love is the only essential thing that we should have in our path. And what does this mean? What does this reading say? That law comes from Moses and the grace from Jesus and truth from Jesus. It's not said that we can throw away the law, that it's not important. We have to understand that at the beginning in our spiritual path, it is very important, not just necessary, to have commandments, as just like God gave to Moses, because these are our instruments. Master came from India with instruments for disciples to know the path and one step at a time, giving the discipline that becomes a self-discipline that helps us develop in us all of that will take us to the grace, truth, and love that at the end are the important things that will liberate us, those things that will take us to the freedom of our soul and to the unity of our unity with God. In this reading, we can see Swamiji talks about the fact that the law and the words have that it's not the intellectual experience, but our inner experience that is important. What Master brought us he brought us instruments, laws, but those that take you to the personal direct experience in us, inside us, because God is already present. Our soul is that sparkle of God in us, and this revelation that takes us to liberate ourselves. It is the realization of our higher self, where all the quality, understanding that all the qualities of the divine are the presence of God in us. So we start with the law and this discipline. And Swamiji says that once that we start to experiment this truth in us, and this can be through so many practices that we have, meditation, obviously, energization, to experiment the energy, the chants that helps us with words, but also through music itself that comes in us and transforms. The notes of music transforms our consciousness. All of our spiritual practices, that's affirmations, They help us to transform the law in what our perception is of what we really truly are. And Swamiji says that once that we start living and experimenting, perceiving these truths and this love, then if we concentrate too much on the law, can be an obstacle. And it's there that we must discern if we are giving too much attention to laws and regulations, because it becomes an obstacle and inhibits us to continue the expansion and the growth, to be able to live this love that helps us understand everything. And all the masters help us to arrive to this. For example, in our life, when Swamiji says at one point that the rules that we should not concentrate on these, he says, because love, divine love, when we have developed and nurtured in us this divine love, makes it impossible for us to desire something that would be wrong, or to harm someone, to be dishonest, to do all of those things that are not part of the spirit and soul that I have in me. So it's this way that love can perfection the law, because the law can take us to one point, to a certain point, but then it is love that permits and makes it possible, without thinking, do this, do that, don't do this, don't do that. Then that is not necessary, because it becomes natural in us. And love permits us to live in a perfection of our highest self. Briefly, we can understand that our gurus, that are all avatars, naturally they have, in many moments of their life, they have showed us how this love becomes what really takes over in our life. For example, when Jesus, in April, we will have Easter. We celebrate his crucifixion and resurrection. And this is one of the most known examples in the world. Even who is not Christian knows this story, how a man that has given his life to be an example of conquering death, knowing that this body that will not be there anymore is not the end, but there is a further a life we continue to live in our soul. This was a very important lesson for us as human beings, to be able to live in the right way. And then also Babaji, it's interesting that he was about to leave the mortal plane, and you remember that his sister asked and convinced Babaji, said, he said, he would say, it's not important that if I'm in the body or not. And the daughters and the sister said, if it's not important, why don't you stay? Because that way you can be here on earth and be helpful for the evolution of this planet. Lahiri, we know the story in the Himalaya, how much he wanted to stay with Babaji. And living with a group of people with Babaji, bringing joy and love to the world. But he did obviously with the help of Babaji, he decided to go back to the world, to be a householder, and to be for us a person that can bring the Kriya Yoga to all of us, giving us the possibility of having a practice that really bring us to this experience of unity, and that it shows us that it is possible to live and to be like them in this life, with more and more love and openness and holding all the human family. And then Yogananda, when he had such great love for his guru and for Babaji, that when it was asked something that he had not thought about, to go to live in America and to bring these techniques, these practices that would liberate to people that were ready to receive. And then Master, in that circumstance, he served and continues to serve as a channel, as an example of what it means to leave the small things of the law, to live the higher law of love. And in our ceremony of Festival of Light, it says we want to live in this love, that we are here for this. So all of this is beautiful as an inspiration, as a model, to know that all our masters have shown us that the law is perfectioned in love. But how do we live this need of moving from the law towards love? In today's world, we have an example with the need to live the law when it is a law that is teaching us a lesson, and at the same time to go further and to live in this world with love. I would like just to talk, give two examples of the world today. Today there is in this world so many wars, civil wars in many countries. There are not only civil wars, but in different countries there are governments that oppress their people, where people cannot live free. They do not have, or with difficulty, they live a life of inner communion with God. It could be that they do not have food, or they have to fight, or they have to really have so many difficulties. And this has created in our world, in Europe, probably more than a situation that people are escaping from their homeland because they are afraid of being killed, because they have their heart and their soul are searching for life, they want freedom, and they do not have this possibility because there is oppression. And so many are coming here in Italy, in Europe. We know this, that they are coming to Europe from these countries. This is a moment when we can live individually, but also in our country, and to help them live in a better way. This law that where there are laws that are against people coming, but we can open our arms and go further from the law, and understanding and offering to those people that have nothing, offering the human family, where we can help them find in them their capacity to give back. America was born with this principle of inclusion. It is open to all those people that have suffered oppression, and America has grown with this, with energy, their talents, and everything that they have to give. And we as well can offer an environment personally. Someone that is waiting at the supermarket, waiting for €1, trying to help you with your bags. Each one of us in our small world can sustain, helping them to become that person, drawing out their potentiality. Here is where our heart can help people that have really escaped from laws that are oppressive. The other situation that we're confronting now in these times in our planet, this about the pandemic, because it is a global pandemic, and the whole world has an opportunity to see how we react to this pandemic. Many react with fear, and fear is one of those things that contracts the heart instead of being expansive and open. And if we see in ourselves the minimum reaction of fear of death, fear of losing our family or dear ones, or the fear of not having work when this pandemic will end. Many companies, many businesses are suffering. So they have to close to protect the situation. But the fear, we have to let it go. If our reaction is more that of anger or the need of giving responsibilities to someone that has started this pandemic, or giving responsibility to this this conspiracy that theories that the pandemic does not exist. This is anger that is also one of those emotions that make our heart to be contracted and not to be open. And it is very difficult with anger to find solutions. I don't have solutions, but I do believe that if we, as Surya Yukteswar says, to develop, nurture love in our heart, that knowing that this world can come out of this pandemic in a better situation in terms of people that know how to love, how to accept others as they are, then we will manage to reconstruct, not going back to what we were, but unveiling a new world with more peace, more harmony, more love, and individual capacity as a country to be of help, of how the world will be after the pandemic. Now let's go. I want to read something. Something that a friend of ours, she's a disciple of this path, she found this. And I felt that today, we did not say it, but happy Saint Valentine's, happy Valentine's to everyone. A day that we want to express and to arrive to feel our capacity and perceive our heart, our full heart of love. And these are words of Yogananda. Imagine, visualize that one of the masters is gazing deeply into your eyes. Feel, and if you have now a masters, you can focus on one. You can visualize with a picture of master in front. Perceive, feel those eyes that are drawing all the pain from your heart, all your disappointments, all the bitterness from your heart, through your drawing from your heart, through your eyes. And these eyes are telling you, are saying to you, these are my burdens now. They are no longer yours. God, in His compassion, would take your burdens from you. Let Him do so through His love, drawing these pains out of your heart. through your eyes and into his all compassionate eyes. This visualization, we can use it at the end of our meditation or in whatever moment that we feel that everything is too much. I can't cope anymore. Then look into the eyes of God, because Master is for us our channel of God. So let him draw and take away this pain. I wanted to finish with some words of Swami, talking about what happened in this last phase of his life, the last years that he lived. Swami Yogananda, this direct disciple of Master, his whole life was dedicated to serve the opera of Master, bringing his love to the world. And at the end, last years, Swami represented this love. The light and bliss of Master was always more perfect in him. And he became one that would follow the laws of our path, the discipline, but more and more he would go further. He would transcend that. He was living and would emanate this love. Swami asked Master on how to love. At one point, this was in the first years, after the first three, in the third year where he was with Master, and he was absorbing and continued absorbing after Master's death. Swami asked him, how do we have to love people? Should I keep my love just for God? And Master said, better to love God, because in loving the person, you can create attachment to the person, and this is not helpful. But something that would be good to do towards others is to love first God, firstly, and then to love God through them. Another time, Master said, it's only God that acts through you. He takes all those roles and he directs all the actions. Only him you should love through others. When you love others. And there was a story of a disciple, the woman disciple. She had been not very kind with someone, and Master told her, you can't really love God if you treat others this way. God is in everyone. You can't win His love if you can't win the love of others. Yes, you have to put God first in life, but you also have to understand and know that other people are channels of God for you. And they have been given to you so you can learn to love Him in all of them. And Swami asked, can you help me to love like you love everyone? How can a small cup contain all the ocean of love? You first have to expand your cup. This was Master's answer. From these examples of Swami's life, that he is closer to us. He is closer to our reality, more than an avatar that is already one with God. His example helps us to see how we can live. And this is something that repeats many times from Master to Swami. This message of practicing to put ourselves as available channels of divine love for others. And this will give. And life gives us many possibilities to do this. I also wanted to share with you something that happened with the movie Finding Happiness. Many of you have seen it probably, when at the beginning the director of the movie had to choose people from Yogananda for some scenes, and he said something that was very interesting, and he said that to Swami. He said to Swami, your people are really terrible to read a script. They're terrible if they have to read it. But but they are wonderful when they talk from their heart. And this has a beautiful meaning for us. All of us who live the teachings of Master, because in such a way, in a certain way, a script is a law. It is something that you have to read from this. You read from the script, and that's people say what they have to say. But here, this director is saying, people know what they have to say, and when they say it with their words and their heart, they are wonderful because they express themselves and the highest part of themselves. This was the answer of Swami when at the end, just before he left the body, 1 year before, he saw this moving. He saw it just a few weeks before he left the body, and he was so excited. He was celebrating to all the non-professional actors, and he said, "You were so perfectly yourselves. You have done a wonderful job letting God, Master, and the truth to express through you all." And this is something that this is what Swami said that left him free to leave the body, because he could see the expression of what the Ananda communities were bringing, and these were few of the last words that Swami shared before leaving the body. This was in 2012 at the launch of the autobiography of Paramahansa Yogananda. There was a great crowd of people and a beautiful wave of love. And the last words that he said to this public, he said, "Love God. This is the true meaning of life." And in another moment, he says, "And it's only God that everyone is searching for. His bliss, and his bliss in movement." Because at the end, Swami's in the end of his life, he would say, "This is love. Bless in God is bliss. No, love is bliss of God in movement." And writing to a friend, Swami said, "When I come in front of Master, when I will leave the body, when I will be in front of Master, the only question that I expect from him is, have you loved me? Because with all with my heart, I will say, you are the only thing that I have loved." But this doesn't mean that Swami did not love all of us, but that he managed to see Master in all of us, and he loved Master in all of us. I want to finish having you listen the song of Swami, sung from the deepest of the heart. This is a beautiful song of love. It talks about you will listen in both languages, the song. So close your eyes when you listen to it and look into Master's eyes if you wish, and open your heart and feel your heart. Say these words. It's simply, I am thine.